thank you for joining our webinar. My name is Vladimir. I'm head of product at the Welkin Suite, and in the next 30-40 minutes, I will show you the benefits of using the SalesforceDX, how great it is itself, and how you can use it very easily in the Welkin Suite ID, even without knowing the command line and all of the commands. Just give me a couple seconds, please. I'll set up properly the webcam in like this way. So let's maybe wait for a couple more minutes for those who have late coffee before the webinar. And in the meantime, you can find in the chat the promo codes that we've providing for all of the attendees of this webinar. So you can find it in the chat. It gives you 20% off of the yearly subscription for the Welkin Suite, and you can go to our website and apply it right there. Okay, so for those of you who are new to the Welkin Suite, the Welkin Suite is an ID that is available for both Mac and Windows versions, and today I will show you the SalesforceDX support in the Welkin Suite for Mac version. If you're new to the ID, you can try it out yourself. Just visit our website, welkinsuite.com, and you can try it for free for the first 30 days, and you'll see how you can save your time, how easy it is to work with a nice and good tool that helps you to write the code, that helps you to resolve your issues, instead of creating new issues like fighting with the ID itself. So welkinsuite.com and try it out yourself. Right after the webinar, you can just jump in and repeat whatever I've done here, try using the trailheads, and just start working with SalesforceDX or with your regular projects. And in the meantime, we are not going to use the Chrome browser, so I will switch to the ID itself. But first of all, I'll launch a very small poll about your experience with SalesforceDX. So please spend just 20 seconds and answer very quickly how you're familiar with SalesforceDX, and it will be also easier for me to try to gear this webinar according to your experience. Okay, so thank you for answers, and I've hidden my webcam because it's my face is not what you get here to see. So right now I have the Welkin Suite ID. It's opened and it's blank, so there is nothing there here. How we can start working with SalesforceDX? Very easily. I just press New in the Solutions. I select the DX project, proceed next, name it somehow. Let it be Webinar DX project. Select where I want to save it. Press create, and here I have a couple of fields that I can enter, or I can leave them as is. First of them is a template, so if you want to use any template of SFDX projects, you can fill it out. However, it's usually you can fill it as is. Namespace, so if you're developing for managed packages, it might be very handy for you to create the project with a namespace, so all the scratch orgs and everything will be tied up with a namespace. It's very easy and handy to develop and debug your AppExchange packages with namespaces using SalesforceDX. And there is also default package here, so we'll leave it as is as a force up, because in general we don't care for now. I press next, and this will create me a blank SalesforceDX project. And I can see right now the ID, UI, and some of the panels that we provide you. So let's take a very quick look of what we have right here. We have a solution pod which shows us the contents of the project. So we can find here the default project scratch org definition in the config file. In the force up folder, we can find our sources, and by default there is nothing there. So it's absolutely empty project without any sources and without anything else. We also have the README file and the SalesforceDX JSON definition file. In case if you're going a bit deeper in SFDX, you can very easily configure needed settings in the JSON format as you wish. At the same time, we see the Organizations Manager panel, which is one of the key components of the SalesforceDX, and I will stop on it on the most part of this demonstration. We also have a couple of other standard panels for the ID, like the test results, which shows me the previous test runs on the environment. We have the code coverage panel, which shows me the details of the code coverage. And we also have the debug logs panel, which shows the debug logs available on the environment. There are also a couple of other panels, but I don't care about them right now because we are focused mostly on SalesforceDX. And as you might guess, as you remember about the SalesforceDX, everything is built there on top of the command line interface. So in our case, what we might need to do, so let's imagine that we already have a dev hub and we have created a new project, and now we would like to create the Scratch organization to start working with. I can navigate to my project, and here I can start typing in lots of commands in SalesforceDX CLI. For example, I can start force org list, just to see the list of all the available Scratch organizations and dev hubs. Then I see that I have the default TVS dev hub, so I want to create a new organization. Instead of remembering all of the stuff, I can just close the terminal and switch back to the IDE, because I don't need to know the command line, I don't need to know the commands or their arguments, I even don't need to install SalesforceDX separately. It's bundled together with the IDE, so I just install the IDE, and in the graphical UI, I can do whatever I want, almost whatever I want with the SalesforceDX. So as I've shown in the example, instead of typing in SFDX force org list, I have the orgs manager panel, which shows me all of my environments. I have dev hub 1, which is used by some of our team members in the company, and also I have my default TVS dev hub, which I will use for all of the future Scratch orgs for this webinar. At the same time, I also can see that there is a Scratch org. I've already created some Scratch org a couple hours ago, and for now it's the default one. The cool thing about the organizations manager is that once I select any item in this orgs manager, in the lower part of the screen, I can see all of the details about this organization. So instead of again typing in the SFDX force org display -u dummy Scratch, instead of spending 20 seconds on typing this command, I just click on it and I see all the details. User, password, as you can see, there is no password here. So I see all the details of my Scratch environments right here in the orgs manager. At the same time, the orgs manager allows me to create new Scratch organizations and manage existing ones. So let's start from scratch and create a new environment. I just right-click on my Scratch organization, on my dev hub, and select the Create Scratch organization. This will bring me the wizard, which provides me easy and quick ways, like options, to create the Scratch organization. First of all, I need to type in the alias for my Scratch org. Let it be webinar Scratch 1. Without no namespace, I don't care, so I will make it the default one. And here is the most important part of the Scratch org creation, its settings. So the most complex and hardcore way is to configure everything manually. Once you select this option and press next, we will show you the window with lots of checkboxes and input fields. Once you type in all of these details, once you select all of the different features of the environment, different settings for the organization itself, for example, like enable API, enable communities, or allow custom apps, you can proceed with this file, with this configuration, or you can just use it as a graphical UI to create the definition JSON file. So you can save the JSON file for the future. In my case, I don't want to go hardcore, and I'll just press the back button, and I'll examine other options what I have here to create the Scratch environment. So the next option is to select configuration file. So if I have some JSON file stored somewhere in my environment, I can just navigate to it, look for it, and use it as a source for my Scratch org configuration. Or I can use the default Scratch organization configuration file from any projects that I have opened in my Solution Explorer. So if I already have a default Scratch org definition set up for this project, I just select this option and I can proceed. In my case, I don't have any specific options here for this Scratch organization, so I will select the easiest option, create by addition. So I just select the addition of the environment I want, and it will be created with the default settings for it. So it will be developer, and press next. By the way, yeah, guys, I see that some of you are asking questions, so please feel free to ask your questions in the questions pane. I will try to somehow manage and read them if I'll get time once I'm going through. But otherwise, I'll go through all of these questions at the end of the session and we'll answer all of them. So I'll try to answer a couple of them. So yep, I've turned on my camera, turned off. The session will be recorded and we'll send the recording to everyone. So yep. There is a question, is it possible to pull metadata code from an existing organization to jumpstart a DX project? So it's nice and tricky question. For now, there is no nice graphical UI option for this. It's in our plan for the next couple months because we don't like how you need to do this right now. But right now, you need to go to the command line interface and play a bit with SFDX MD-API commands, which will allow you to retrieve your package of your existing sandbox or production environment, and then it will allow you to easily convert it to the SalesforceDX project. So for now, only via command line, but in the next couple of months, we'll provide you a nice graphical UI to do this right from the IDE. Okay, so our Scratch org was created. I press finish, and I will see it in my list of the Scratch orgs in the orgs manager. At the same time, you can see that it's marked as a default one. And what does this mean? So in the IDE, we are kind of connecting your project with organization. So your default Scratch organization is the organization with which we will work by default in the IDE. So for example, you can see the debug logs panel and code coverage. They have changed their view because they have switched to the default organization. At the same time, test results panel also switched to the new Scratch organization. And if I try to run new tests, I will see nothing there. In my case, I can start creating new classes and the new code right here. But otherwise, I have already done some stuff on my previous Scratch org. So what I can do from here? I can right-click on any other Scratch organization in the orgs manager. And here I have two options that are interesting for me right now. One of them is to pull sources from the Scratch organization. This will pull everything that is available on the Scratch environment to your current SFDX project. So I will just press this button. I will wait for the next 15 to 30 seconds, I'd say. And in that time, I should get here one of my customers objects and a couple of Apex classes. They will be available in my project. Okay, no classes here, just layouts, objects, and profiles. Okay, so then let's create a new class. So I create a new folder, call it classes. Right-click on it and select the new file. So I will create a new Apex class. I create the new file. It will be an empty Apex class, and the cool thing is that it's not yet available on the environment. So right now it's only available in your project and nowhere else. So I can start typing in here some logic or something very stupid. So let it be just a couple of system.debugs. And also I might want to add a new method here. So let it be public integer add. So I say change it to my files, and oh yeah, you can see that I have inline syntax highlighting. It shows me that I've missed semicolon, so I'll type it in here and save the file. So right now I have a file with some very important business logic in my project, but it's still not yet available on my Scratch organization. How I can get it there? I'll just press Command B, and the IDE will build the solution and will send the files to the Scratch environment. So it takes a couple seconds. You can see this in the upper part of the screen that we are building solution. I can also switch to the errors part, and I will see. And I will see a couple of errors here because pulling from the previous Scratch org have pulled a couple of profiles, but it doesn't pull my files. So I will just go to my environment, and I will remove all of the profiles from here, because I don't need to make any changes to profiles. And I will try once more. So Command B, and let's see what happens here. Strange, it shouldn't be here. Give me a second. Review and Finder. So what I have here, I have nothing here. Okay, then give me a quick second. I'll try create a new project because pulling stuff from one Scratch org and then trying to build it to another Scratch org might sometimes be not ideal due to the, especially due to the work with profiles. So I will do very simple stuff. What I will do here is I will go to the ID new solution, create the new one because it takes just a couple of seconds. Next. Finish. Okay, starting from scratch. So I still have my default folder. I create a new class once more. I will type in my stuff that I wrote in the previous class, and I will try to build once more to my default Scratch organization. Yep, you can see that build is successful, and I have just added this class to my Scratch organization. How can I check this? I can very easily right-click on my Scratch organization and open it in browser. So again, I don't need to remember what command I need to use in the command line interface. I will just open it with a couple clicks in the graphical UI. I want all notifications, and yep, it's almost regular organization. Is it this one? So you can see my dummy class, and you can see that whatever I wrote here is right now available on my Scratch organization. And one of the really coolest things of the SalesforceDX is that it allows you to mix and match the ID and the organization setup menu itself. So for example, if I go to the object manager, and if I decide to create a new custom object with a couple fields, let it be the demo object. Yep. And now I even add a new field here. So let it be auto number. And it will be one. So I've added a new field, I've added a new object, and in the same manner I can add or modify page layouts, do whatever stuff that I need from workflows, validations, approval processes, whatever I need. So now I get back to the ID, right-click on my Scratch environment, and select the option to pull sources from the Scratch organization. This will get me whatever I have changed just right now on the environment, and it will update my project to contain all of this data. Here we are. So you can see that I have my demo object, its description in the XML, I can see the fields. And the cool thing again about the SalesforceDX is that in SalesforceDX, they have done a decomposition of the object file. So instead of one huge XML file with all the fields, validations, and all the stuff, you'll get one general descriptor of your object. And then you'll get individual XML small files for your different fields. In this case, for example, if you have already finished your cool functionality, you can very easily push the whole project to your Git environment, to your SVN, or any other version control. So right out of the box, the Welkin Suite provides you the integrated Git version control. However, you can very easily use any other third-party application or even the command line interface to work with Git, SVN, or like really anything that you'd like to. However, we have not yet finished doing some stuff, so I will return back to the browser. I'll go to accounts, and I will create just a new account just because I can. So test account, and also I will create the, let's say, new contact for it. So Mr. It's me. and save it. So now if I go to the accounts, I can see my test account and what for I've created and how can I use it. Again, one of the coolest things in the SalesforceDX is that you don't need to mess anymore with your test and sample data. You don't need to create it on every dev environment. You don't need to move it manually from sandbox to sandbox, or you don't need to create it manually or in somehow automated way in your sandbox after refresh. You just create your regular sample data on the environment itself. Then you go to ID. I will create a new folder here for the data. Right click on the folder, create a new file, and select the SOQL query. I will name it appropriately. Press new, and we open my SOQL query builder. So in the Welkin Suite, we provide you the SOQL query builder, which on the right side shows you all of the available queryable objects in the environment. And in my case, I want to grab some accounts. So I expand accounts, I expand fields, and here with just checkboxes, I can select whatever fields I need from my environment. So for accounts, I want to get account number, ID, and name. And at the same time, I would like to grab some information about child relations. In my case, it's contact. So I expand the contacts, and what I can see here, I see account ID, I can grab email, ID, and name. So I've selected a couple of fields that I'd like to see. Now I can execute the query, and I can see the results of this query right here in the IDE. So I can see the account number, ID, name. I can see the child items as well. So they are shown in the, I'd say, subtable. So I don't need to parse the JSON file in my hands as I'm doing in Developer Console. I just see the proper items in here. And being happy with this sample data and being happy with this SOQL query, I'll just save it. And now I right-click on this query and select the option to export data as a subject tree. There is a huge long command in the SalesforceDX CLI which does the same, and we are building it instead of you. So once this command finishes, you get the JSON file which contains your records that are according to this query. And as you can see, it's very cool because you have your regular account and you also have its child records right here. So you don't need to manually create child items, you don't need to manually merge them in the Excel or anywhere else. You just select them with the SOQL query builder, export them as a JSON, and now I return back to the environment. I'll select my account and I will delete it. I will just check contacts if there's anything here. So nothing here. And what I can do right now, so at this stage already you can submit your changes to the repository. So you've made a business logic, you've made some changes to your code, you've made some changes to your metadata, and also you have provided the proper sample data which you or other teammates might use in the future for ensuring that your functionality is working right. So at this stage you can already commit these changes to your Git repository or SVN repository. But in our case, I won't do this because it's pretty simple. Instead, I will just right-click on this JSON file, and I have the similar option to import this data to the environment. So again, instead of typing in a huge command, instead of messing up with the data manually, okay, import data has failed. Nice. Why it have failed? Let's try once more. Maybe it's because they're in trash. Okay, let's do it in another way. Let's imagine that we have already done whatever we want with the project, and now I can just create a new scratch org. And also make it default. Also won't select anything in the settings. Proceed next. And what I want to do here is that I want to switch to that environment and deploy whatever I have in my project to ensure that everything works okay, that I have the same sample data, that I have the same classes, layouts, whatever I've done, and also that I will have my S object. So it takes not so much time. As you can see, firing up a new scratch org takes less than a minute. It's again set as a default one. So what I need to do, I need to again to build my changes. So this will bring my classes, objects, and layouts to the scratch org. And once this is done, I will once more try to import this account to the environment. So right click on it, import a subject, and I hope that everything should be okay. Now, what I do here, okay, once more, I will switch back to the webinar scratch. I will make it default. It might be because of the child records, so I'll try to remove this JSON file. Or even easier, I'll just try to remove this contacts part here because it's a simple JSON file. So I remove it, save the JSON file, right click on it, and try to import a subject tree data. Okay, import has successfully finished, so maybe this was me doing something wrong with the JSON file and with the records of the child items. I still don't trust it, so I'll go to the browser. We'll open this org once more, and you'll see that my sample data is still here and that everything is okay. So again, I go to accounts. Yep, and I see my test account. So in case if you need to work with child items, just be a bit more careful than me, and this might require a couple of more minutes to study in the reference from Salesforce to know how exactly to export data, what exactly details you need to include in your SQL query to properly export and then import your child items. And once I've done, I can easily remove my scratch orgs because there is a limitation of the number of scratch orgs that you might have in your Dev Hub. So as I don't need them anymore, I'll delete this scratch org, I'll delete the dummy scratch org. And I'll refresh the list. So I'll see the actual state of my scratch orgs. So I have the only one, and what will be here, it doesn't bother me. The last part I want to show you is that I'll create a new class here. It will be I'll create a classes folder because I've messed up a bit. I'll create a new dummy class test. Okay, what would be? Dummy class test. Okay, so it's simple unit test. And what I will do here, I'll call my dummy class. Let it be add 2, 3. Oops. And I'll add a session. Expected 5, actual result. And again, I will build my changes to the environment. So build successful. And now what I can do? Now I can switch back to the test results panel. I can open the run wizard. And in the list here, I will see my new test class. So I select this test to execute. I can see its result right here immediately, so everything passes, all is good. I can even check my code coverage if everything is okay. Yep, I have 100% code coverage. And also in case if I will have any issues or if I want to, I can enable the debug logs. So all the new debug logs on this environment will get to the IDE. So to make this life a bit more interesting, I'll modify this unit test and we'll make it like failing. So I save the changes, I press Ctrl B once more. I right click in the test results on my previous test run and rerun the test run to get the results. So I can see the failure, and the cool thing is that right here in the test results panel, I can see the results of the failure. So I see the message here, I see the stack trace. I can see the debug logs panel. There is a new debug log appeared here. But even easier, I can open a log file directly from the test results panel, and it will open you our own debug logs viewer. So you can see here the color highlighting for different types of events. And it's much more easier to navigate and investigate issues in your code using such kind of debug logs viewer. Usually in the regular projects, I'd show you how to debug this issue using our retrospective debugger. However, right now, our retrospective debugger is not yet, I'd say, optimized or available for SalesforceDX projects. So for now, it won't be available to debug SFDX projects. However, most of our features are available for SFDX projects, with some of the missing items here that we will add in the next couple of months because we really love SalesforceDX. As you have seen, creating new test orgs, deploying changes between them, even like grabbing sample data and working with it, it's so easy and it doesn't add you any extra issues comparing to the regular Salesforce projects which you would like to put to the Git environment. So I believe that in most it's whatever I wanted to show you. So I will also launch one more very small poll for you guys. Please spend 10 seconds more. So in 3 minutes, I will start answering your questions. In the meantime, I just encourage you to go to our website, welkinsuite.com. Try out the IDE yourself. It's free for 30 days. And if you haven't tried us like a long time ago, try it once more because we're releasing new versions every couple of weeks. And there's lots of new stuff happening all the time. So just try it yourself. Play with Trailhead, like with Trailheads. Right here in the IDE, according to some of our users, it's taking about 2 times less time to complete this Trailhead modules in the IDE comparing to doing the same stuff in the command line. Yep, so there's a question from Noy Thames. I've mentioned the promo code. So the promo code is available in the chat window in the GoToWebinar. You can open the chat and you see my last message with webinar SFDX Blaze. It's the promo code that you can use till the end of Sunday to get the Welkin Suite with a 20% discount. Okay, so I'll stop the poll. And if you don't see the chat panel in the GoToWebinar, I'll just type in the promo code right here. So webinar SFDX Blaze and enter it on the welkinsuite.com website. And now I'll start answering your questions. So the first question is how to query existing metadata from production and push it to Scratch org because we need dependent classes and data from production organization. Of course, you'll need lots of stuff from your production environment. And as I've said in the beginning, there is no nice way to do this in the IDE for now. But if you go to the SalesforceDX command line reference, you'll find there's the MD API section, which provides the options to work with the metadata API. So you'll be able, using your regular package XML approach, download stuff from your production or sandbox environment. And then with some of the command from the CLI, you'll be able to convert your regular package XML project to the SalesforceDX sources. So it won't be ideal. So I'm just like, from our experience, it's not yet ideal converting large projects to SalesforceDX. So you might start with something simpler. It won't take you so much time in the simple projects. In the large ones, yep, you'll need to take into account that this will be investment of some of the time of your team. This might take up to a week to make everything working for SFDX. But once it's done, it's highly worth it. It's really great to work with SFDX projects. So for now, it's just like try, like error and try, and yep. So next question from Haidar is, so building solution is deploying to the Scratch organization? Yes, exactly. So building solution in our regular terms of the Welkin Suite IDE, it's deploying it to the default Scratch organization. Also, in the case if you don't want to deploy to the default Scratch org, you can always right click on any other Scratch org, even from another Dev Hub environment. and push sources to the Scratch organization. This will do exactly the same as doing the regular like control command B or build action in the IDE. Is there any option to add Tortoise SVN as a version control tool? So the IDE by default supports only Git, but there is a nice life hack that you can use from here. Where is it located? Let me find it. Let me find it. Where is it? So in the Welkin Suite menu, in the preferences, you can find the external tools menu, where you can add any external command. The IDE can execute it using the command line with given arguments. Arguments can be dynamic, taking into account the project names, file names, selected files, and lots of different stuff. So in this way, you can customize your command, which will execute the SVN, some SVN commands, like command line commands in the IDE without leaving it. However, if you would like to get the Tortoise SVN graphical UI, you need to launch the application itself. One more question from Michael. So, does the export to SOQL tree work for existing orgs or only Scratch orgs? Very good question. We liked the idea of this subject tree data API. We loved how it works in the SFDX. For now, it is not yet available for regular projects, but we will for sure make this because it makes life so much easier. We will also work in that direction because we love these features, we love this functionality. So we'll add a bit more functionality to our SOQL builder, which will help you to export data easier and import data easier. So there won't be such cases as you've seen in my example when I've messed something wrong. We'll try to make it like bulletproof, so there will be always happy result. And we'll also try to visualize somehow the JSON file, so you won't see the plain JSON, and we'll try to replicate you and build the proper data as you, for example, might have seen in the SOQL query I've shown you. So we like this approach, and we will provide it for the regular projects, and we will extend this functionality for both regular and SFDX projects. One question, so does the IDE show you which lines are covered and not covered by unit test? So for now, for SalesforceDX projects, we do not show you this information. However, for the regular projects, of course, we show you covering. There is a special show covering button, which allows you to easily see the highlighted or covered and not covered lines. So this is again coming soon. Our goal was to provide the easiest way to just jump into the DX without knowing the command line interface. So we have skipped some of the nice features we'd like to, but in the next months we'll add all of them to the SFDX projects as well. So question about the promo code, if you already have a monthly subscription and if you'd like to take advantage of the 20% discount, we'll get back to you, not today, but tomorrow in our morning, we'll get back to you and we'll help you figuring out this, like how we can handle this in a nice way. Very good question. So how about scenario? Admins do config for user stories, normally done in a dev sandbox, and if we would start using TVS for the whole team, would you advise admins to also use the Welkin Suite? It's a very good question, and my answer is admins should use the Welkin Suite. I will switch back to the regular project just to show you an example of what we have for the regular projects. So my answer is like yes for everything. For both SFDX, it's very nice for admins to use SFDX, and for the regular projects as well, because in the Welkin Suite, it's not only for developers, it's as well for administrators. And when I'm saying like that it's for administrators, it's not like the maintenance mate when it throws out to you XML file and says, do whatever you want with it, we don't care. We don't like XML files. I personally hate working with them. I can read them, I know how to read them, but I don't want to do this. And instead, we are providing you nice and comfortable ways of working with your S-objects. So if you want, I can share you later the small presentations that me and our CEO Rustam have done on the Dreamforce this year. It highlights the benefits of using the IDE for administrators, and it's really like a pretty nice stuff, and it saves a lot of time for administrators as well. So yes, the Welkin Suite is a tool for the whole team, for both administrators and developers. Okay, one more question from Andres. Does it work with the Apex debugger? If you're talking about the Salesforce's own debugger, that is interactive one and that is available for enterprise users, then no, the Welkin Suite doesn't work with Salesforce's debugger because they can't provide us API for a year already. So we have a safe harbor notice that they will provide it us somewhere in February. I don't know if they will give us this API or no. However, once they will do this, we'll immediately add the support for the regular Salesforce's debugger. And if you're talking about our own debugger, so as I said, for DX, it's not yet supported, but for regular projects, of course, it's working and it provides a great debugging experience. One more tricky question from Andres. So how can I work with multiple packages 2.0? For now, we haven't done anything for the packages 2.0 pilot or beta, where it's now I don't remember. So for now, we haven't done nothing in this direction. I believe that we'll move towards providing some more support for packages 2.0 once they will be closer to GA. Because, like, being honest with you, we've done a SFDX implementation in beta, and then we've had to rewrite it from scratch for the globally available state. So we don't want to waste our time. We'd better provide you some more cool features while Salesforce is working on the finalizing the packages 2.0. So I have regular project opened, and I'll just do a very quick demonstration. So if I open any subject in the ID, I have fields, FLS, and layouts tab here. In the fields, you will be able to see the modifiable fields. And in the FLS, I'll show it here. For example, in the FLS tab, you can see the field level security. So in case if your administrators are working with the field level security, if you need to do this very often, it's an absolutely great way to modify FLS right from the ID without moving across the lots of pages in the setup UI. We have quick actions. We have an options to clone settings from one field to another. We have options to clone settings from one profile to another. We also have nice ways to work with layouts, with validation rules, with permission set assignments. Also, in the nearest future, we'll add support for the permission sets editor in the Mac version. For now, it's available in Windows, but in Mac it will be in a couple more months. Okay, there is a question. So if you have an Eclipse backup of an project of an org, can we connect that over here in this tool? If you're talking about the regular projects, then no, because in the Welkin Suite we have the project file. So when you're creating the project, we are not only downloading your sources, but we are also creating the project file, which stores important information about the project itself. So we store some of the system data that we need to ensure that all of the processes in the ID are done in the best way, that they are handling all of the cases, and that everything is done very quickly. And this is why, without having this information, we won't be able to treat your sources as a project. The easiest way for you will be to just connect to your sandbox with the Welkin Suite and create a project right from there. It will be the easiest way to do all the stuff. There's a cool question again about with the PMD support. So the ID provides you the PMD support. Just a quick note, the PMD, it's a static analysis tool for Java-like languages, and great guys have optimized it for Apex. This is why we can enjoy now the static analysis tool for Salesforce, which performs the full scan of your code base in just seconds. You can see it right now on my screen. I can see the lots of issues in my code, like avoiding DML statements in loops, avoiding SQL statements in loops, and about 30 more rules that are supported by the IDE. And the question is there any thought about allowing externally managed rules such as code climate, Apex metrics, or something like that? It's a very good question. I believe that we will move in that direction. I believe that we will have an integration with the Clayton.io. We'll have a webinar with Lorenzo, creator of the Clayton.io, somewhere in the beginning of January. And we will also contribute to PMD with our own rules, as well as we would like to do as much as we can to allow you to connect your external rules to the environment. So I'm not sure yet how and when this will be done, but we have this in mind, and we'd like to provide you as much possible options to increase your code quality, to increase your readability of the code as we can. I hope this answers. So one more question about the recording for this webinar. We will send it to you, if not tomorrow, but on Monday. I hope that it will be, and it will also be available on the page where you have registered for the webinar. So once we upload this video to YouTube, we'll modify the page and it will show you the recording. So you can just check it out on Monday, Tuesday, or you'll receive an email with us with the link to this recording. Okay, guys, so thank you once more for your questions. There's a couple more questions that I haven't answered, and I will do my best to answer to all of you personally. I believe that I try to do this today and tomorrow. If I won't do this in these days, I will answer you in about a week, because I will be kind of out of office for the next week. So please don't be angry on me. We are just running out of time, and I'll definitely get back to you. So thank you very much, guys. And once more, if you haven't tried the Welkin Suite ID yourself, just go to our website, welkinsuite.com. Try the ID for yourself. And if you have any questions, if you have any comments, ideas, or anything, just let us know to our info.welkinsuite.com. And we'll be happy to talk with you, to hear back your feedback, and to discuss any new feature ideas with you. So thank you very much once more for your time, guys, and hope you have a great rest of the day or night or evening, whatever you have in your time zone. So see you. Bye.